We think we know our family tree, we think we know the story of humans, but that story is a lot messier than we often imagine. It's full of twists, it's full of gaps, and it's almost certain there are many missing chapters. We are Homo sapiens, we are the last human species left on Earth, but that was not always the case. Not by a long shot. For most of human history, our species shared the planet with others, many others. Think about it like this. If you look at monkeys or apes today, there are lots of different kinds. Gorillas, chimps, orangutans, bonobos, lots of different monkeys, big and small. Why would our own family line be any different? Why would we assume there was just one kind of human at a time? It's a very recent thing that only one human species exists, so who were these others? And who might still be out there, hidden from us? We know about Neanderthals. They are probably the most famous. Big brow ridges, stout bodies, lived in Europe and parts of Asia. They were smart, they made tools, they buried their dead. They even interbred with our ancestors. Many people living today have a little bit of Neanderthal DNA in them. It's a clear sign that our paths crossed. It shows they weren't just some primitive brute, they were complex, they were very much human, just a different kind. Then there are Denisovans. We knew nothing about them until quite recently. A tiny finger bone and a tooth found in a cave in Siberia. That was it. But from that, scientists pulled out DNA. And what they found was mind-blowing. It was a completely new type of human. Neither Neanderthal nor modern human, but related to both. And like Neanderthals, Denisovans also mixed with our ancestors. Some populations in Asia and Oceania carry Denisovan DNA today. This was a ghost species. We found them through their genes, not just their bones. That's a huge clue about how we might find more. And there are more, of course. Homo erectus, for example, they were truly global travelers. They walked out of Africa millions of years ago. They spread across Asia. They lived for a very long time, much longer than Homo sapiens has so far. They made tools, they might have used fire, they were successful. We have Homo habilis, one of the earliest human species. They were toolmakers. We have Homo heidelbergensis, often seen as a common ancestor to both Neanderthals and us. And then the more recent surprises, like Homo naledi, found deep in a cave system in South Africa. Tiny brains, but complex behaviors. They might have deliberately placed their dead in the cave. This challenges what we thought we knew about brain size and complex actions. Then there's Homo floresiensis, the Hobbit, from the island of Flores in Indonesia. Small-bodied, small-brained. But they made tools, they hunted, they survived on an island for a very long time. This shows how isolation can lead to unique evolutionary paths. This is just a quick run-through of the big names. But every discovery opens up more questions, every new bone, every new piece of ancient DNA. It tells us that the picture is much richer. It tells us that human evolution was not a straight line. It was a bush. A tangled bush with many branches. Some thrived, some died out, some overlapped, and some branches are still completely hidden from us. So, why are we missing them? Why don't we know about all these other human species? The biggest reason is simple. The fossil record is incredibly incomplete. Think about how rare it is for an animal to become a fossil. It has to die in just the right place. It has to be covered quickly. The conditions have to be perfect for minerals to replace the bone. And then, millions of years later, that fossil has to be pushed to the surface. It has to be exposed by erosion, and then someone has to walk by and spot it. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is the entire planet, and the needle is microscopic. Most things that die, they just rot away. Or they get eaten. Bones crumble. So, the chances of any one individual becoming a fossil are tiny, and the chances of us finding it are even tinier. We have probably only found a fraction of the fossils that ever existed. That means there are countless species, human and otherwise, that lived and died without leaving any trace we can find. Another big reason is geography. There are vast parts of the world that are just not explored for ancient human remains. Think about Siberia before the Denisovan cave, or parts of Southeast Asia, or many regions of Africa, which is the cradle of humanity. Some places are too remote. Some are politically unstable. Some are covered in dense forest. Some are underwater. We just haven't looked everywhere. And even where we have looked, we haven't looked everywhere thoroughly. A small cave mouth might hide an entire new chapter of human history. Then there are the time gaps. Certain periods in human evolution are better represented by fossils than others. There are millions of years where we have very few clues. Imagine a species that lived for a few 100,000 years. That's a long time to us. But in the grand scheme of Earth's history, it's a blink. If their population was small, or they lived in places where fossils don't form well, they could vanish without a trace. And what about small populations? If a human species was always rare or lived in very isolated pockets, their chances of leaving behind a fossil are even slimmer. They might have been perfectly adapted to their niche. They might have lived alongside other human groups. But if there weren't many of them, or if they didn't bury their dead in caves, we might never know they existed. Our very definition of a species is also a challenge. What makes one group of humans a different species from another? Is it just the ability to interbreed? That's the common definition for animals. But we know Neanderthals and Denisovans interbred with us. Does that make them the same species? Most scientists still call them separate. It's about morphology, or body shape, and genetic distance. But it's not always clear-cut. There might be groups we found that we've lumped together as one species, but they were actually distinct. Or vice versa, we might have labeled something new that's just a variation. The lines can be blurry, so if the fossil record is so poor, how else might we find them? This is where genetics comes in. The Denisovans were a game changer. Their discovery showed us we could find entire populations of humans from just tiny fragments of bone. Or even just from the DNA they left behind in the dirt of a cave. This is environmental DNA, or eDNA. We can take soil samples and look for traces of ancient life. It's like magic. And the story isn't over with Denisovans. When scientists look at the DNA of living people today, they see hints of other ghost lineages. For example, some people in Southeast Asia have DNA that doesn't quite match Neanderthal, Denisovan, or modern human. It looks like it comes from yet another archaic human group. We don't have a name for them yet. We don't have a bone, but their genetic footprint is there. This suggests there were even more interbreeding events. More branches on that tangled human bush. And these unknown groups were likely also mixing with the ancestors of modern humans as they spread across the world. Think about what this means. It's not just that Homo sapiens encountered one or two other human species. It's that they encountered many, and they weren't just passing by, they were interacting. They were living, they were sharing technologies, and they were having children together. Our history is a story of constant contact and blending, not just a simple replacement. Beyond the ghost DNA, what other clues are there? Sometimes it's just odd fossil fragments, a jawbone that doesn't quite fit, a skull cap that has features of several different known species, or a tooth with a strange shape. These become unassigned fragments. Scientists might put them aside hoping to find more. They are hints. They are question marks. They could be variations within a known species, or they could be the first sign of something completely new. We just don't have enough to say for sure yet. Stone tools are another huge clue. Humans have been making tools for millions of years. Sometimes we find massive amounts of stone tools at a site, but not a single human bone. Who made them? Were they Homo erectus, Homo habilis, or some other human species we don't know about yet? These tools tell us intelligent hands were at work, but they don't always tell us whose hands. Each tool tradition, each unique style of making a stone axe or a scraper could be a cultural signature. And if a different culture existed, perhaps a different species did too. Consider the distribution of these finds. We find tools in places where we haven't found bones. We find bones that are very old, in places where we didn't expect to find early humans. These anomalous dates or locations are like little flags. They tell us to look harder. They tell us our maps of human migration might be wrong, or at least incomplete. For instance, there are hints of early human presence in the Philippines much, much earlier than previously thought. Or traces in South America that push back the arrival dates significantly. These might be early Homo sapiens. Or they might be something else entirely. We simply don't have enough evidence to be sure. Each unexpected discovery hints at a more complex story. So, where should we be looking next? How do we go about finding these missing human species? First, we need to keep exploring those underexplored regions. Africa is still the most important place. It is where our journey began. There are vast areas in Central Africa, West Africa, and even parts of East Africa that haven't been thoroughly surveyed. The geology in some places makes fossil hunting hard, but the rewards could be immense. New discoveries in South Africa, like Homo naledi, show that even well-searched areas can hold surprises. We need to go deeper into caves, explore remote river valleys, and look under dense vegetation. Southeast Asia and Oceania are also hotbeds for discovery. The islands acted like natural laboratories. The isolation leads to unique evolution. We saw it with Homo floresiensis. We know there were early human migrations through these regions. The genetic hints of unknown archaic groups in these populations are a strong signal. More cave explorations, more careful digging. The environmental conditions can be tough for fossil preservation, but they are not impossible. Asia, in general, has been a huge source of discoveries from Homo erectus to Denisovans. The vastness of the continent means there are countless places still to look. The Gobi Desert, the Himalayas, the vast plains of China. Each region could hold its own unique story. South America and North America are also important, though, for later migrations. If early human groups arrived earlier than we think, who were they? Were they all Homo sapiens? Or did other archaic groups somehow make it across? This is a more speculative area, but the question is valid. Second, we need to refine our genetic analysis techniques. Ancient DNA is a rapidly advancing field. We can now extract DNA from much older and more degraded samples. We can even pull DNA from soil. As these methods get better, we might be able to find genetic traces in more places from more time periods. We might be able to piece together the genomes of these ghost lineages with even less physical evidence. This is perhaps the most exciting frontier. Imagine being able to sequence a whole human species from a handful of dirt. Third, new dating methods are crucial. Knowing the exact age of a fossil or a tool allows us to place it accurately in the human timeline. This helps us understand who lived when and where. Techniques like luminescence dating, which can date sediments, are helping us push back dates or confirm older ones. Fourth, interdisciplinary approaches are key. This means bringing together archaeologists, paleontologists, geneticists, geologists, climate scientists, and anthropologists. Each field brings a piece of the puzzle. A geologist might understand the ancient landscape. A climate scientist might tell us what the environment was like. An archaeologist finds the tools. A paleontologist finds the bones. A geneticist extracts the DNA. And an anthropologist tries to make sense of it all. The more we work together, the clearer the picture becomes. What would it mean if we did find another human species? What are the implications? It would fundamentally change our understanding of human evolution. Every new discovery adds complexity. It shows us that our journey was not simple. It was not a straight line from ape to us. It was a messy, branching, overlapping journey. Finding another species would confirm that this branching was even more extensive than we currently realize. It would show that diversity was the norm, not the exception. It would also challenge our definitions of what it means to be human. If we find another species, do they fit our current ideas? Do they make tools? Do they have culture? Do they bury their dead? Each new species expands our understanding of the range of human behaviors and adaptations. Homo naledi already showed us that small brains don't necessarily mean simple behavior. What else might we learn? It might also force us to rethink our place in the world. For so long, we were taught that we were special, unique, the only intelligent beings. But if we share the planet with multiple intelligent, tool-making, culturally rich species for millions of years, it puts us in a very different context. It shows us as just one branch of a very successful family. The last one standing, yes, but not the only one that ever mattered. It highlights the sheer resilience and adaptability of the human lineage. To have so many different kinds of humans, each adapted to their own environment for millions of years, is an incredible story. It shows the power of evolution to shape diverse forms from a common ancestor. And finally, it would be incredibly exciting. Imagine the thrill of discovering a new human species. A new face from our past, a new chapter in our own story. It's like finding a missing family member you never knew you had. It adds richness, it adds depth, it adds a sense of wonder. The idea that we might be missing other human species isn't just speculation. It's based on solid clues. The gaps in the fossil record, the vast, unexplored regions of the world, the hints of ghost lineages in our own DNA, the unassigned fossil fragments. The tools without clear makers. All of these point to a past that is far more diverse and complex than we currently grasp. We are still very much in the early days of understanding our own family history. Every decade brings new breakthroughs, new technologies, new ways of looking at old evidence. It's a continuous process of discovery and reevaluation. The picture of human evolution is always changing. It's always getting more detailed, and it's always getting more fascinating. So the question, what other human species are we missing, is not just a scientific one. It's a deeply human one. It's about our identity, it's about our past, it's about understanding how we came to be the way we are. And it reminds us that there is still so much more to learn about ourselves and our incredible journey on this planet. We are not alone in our past, and the echoes of those other humans are still out there waiting to be found. We just need to keep looking, keep digging, and keep listening to the whispers of our ancient genes. The answers are out there, we just haven't found them all yet, and that's a truly exciting thought.